Hi everybody, my name is Kay Dovis and I am the nutritionist for Fitness Edge, both in Carolina Forest and Murrells Inlet, and I want to welcome you to the Intro to Fitness program. Today we're going to talk about my favorite subject, food and nutrition. And when it comes to nutrition, everyone is individual. Everyone has different requirements based on your age, your gender, any health conditions that you might have. But there are certain rules that we all can live by, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to do a little presentation on my top tips for basic nutrition. And as you can see, we are in my kitchen today. And at the end of the presentation, we're going to come back here. I'm going to show you how to make a really delicious and healthy vinaigrette made from turmeric. And some of you have probably heard about turmeric. It's kind of the hot new spice out there, but with good reason, because it has a lot of really healthful properties and it's a great anti-inflammatory. So stick around and enjoy the presentation, and I'll see you back here in my kitchen in a few minutes. I think of wellness as a trifecta of physical activity, stress management, and of course nutrition. And at Fitness Edge, we can support you on all three levels. We have all of our physical fitness programs, personal training, classes. For stress management, we offer yoga classes, Tai Chi, body flow. We also have on-site massage therapists at both Carolina Forest and Murrells Inlet locations. And now we have a full-time nutritionist as well to support you. I wanted to kick off the presentation with a quote from Michael Pollan, who is a healthy food writer and documentary filmmaker. And his advice is very simple. It's eat food, not too much, mostly plants. So let's take a look in this presentation at how his advice applies to our day-to-day choices in food. Why is good nutrition important? Well, it allows our body to perform its normal functions. It also provides energy to your body and your brain, and it prevents disease by supporting your immune system. And nutrition should be individualized to your biochemistry and your individual circumstances, and that's where I can help you evaluate your individual requirements and help you make the right choices for your particular circumstance. So the first piece of advice from Michael Pollan was to eat food, and what he meant by that was to eat whole foods. And nutrients don't function in isolation, so with whole foods you're getting your nutrition in the way nature intended. You also want to make sure you eat the rainbow to maximize your nutrient intake. And what does that mean? That means choose foods in a variety of different colors. If you look at the picture on this slide, you can see all different colors. Beautiful red and yellow peppers, green zucchini and broccoli, purple cabbage and purple eggplant, and orange carrots and tomatoes. And each of the colors in these foods represents a different nutrient. So if you focus on getting a variety of different colors in your diet, you're going to be on the road to getting a full supply of nutrients in your diet. You want to try to eat organic whenever possible, but the Environmental Working Group puts out two really helpful lists. One is called the Dirty Dozen, and the other is the Clean 15. The Dirty Dozen are those fruits and vegetables that have the highest pesticide content. So those are the foods that you want to focus on more to buy organic. The Clean 15 are fruits and vegetables that have much lower pesticide residue. So if you're at the grocery store and you're trying to decide whether to buy that conventional avocado or the organic avocado, you know that it's probably all right for you to buy the conventional avocado and use the money that you save in your budget to buy the organic strawberries instead. And these lists are available on the Environmental Working Group's website, which I believe is ewg.org, or of course you can also Google it. Let's talk about carbohydrates. This falls in line with Michael Pollan's advice to eat mostly plants. So you do need a certain amount of carbohydrates in your diet for energy, but the type of carbohydrate is very important. Refined carbohydrates are found in things like white flour, white bread, white sugar,
and they tend to spike your blood sugar more quickly, which then causes a spike in the hormone insulin, which in turn causes you to store belly fat. And belly fat is the most inflammatory type of fat, and it can be a risk factor for things like heart disease, diabetes, and stroke, because this type of fat tends to increase your triglyceride levels, it increases inflammation in your body, and it can also cause hormonal imbalance. Instead, you want to focus on eating higher fiber-rich foods, and those are the foods that you're going to find in the picture on the right-hand side under healthy carbs. So you're going to find great fiber sources in whole vegetables, whole fruits, whole grains, seeds, nuts, and beans. And eating fiber helps to keep your blood sugar levels low and prevent those blood sugar spikes and insulin spikes that I just talked about. The other thing to keep in mind is to watch out for hidden sugars. These are often found in things like sweetened dairy products. You may think that buying a low-fat or non-fat yogurt that has been flavored might be a good choice, but it's actually not, because there's a lot of hidden artificial sweeteners and sugar in those products and artificial flavors as well. They're also found in things like low-fat and fat-free salad dressings, and we'll talk more about that on a future slide. Try to eat protein at every meal and snack. Protein are the building blocks of our body. They build muscle, supports neurological function, it helps balance your hormones. Eating protein also helps to balance your blood sugar and promote weight loss as well. You want to choose quality forms of animal protein, so things like organic and grass-fed chicken and beef whenever possible. When choosing your eggs, try to find free-range eggs. Simply saying cage-free is not enough. You want them to be listed as free-range or pastured eggs. And when choosing fish, try to choose wild-caught fish as often as possible. Good choices are Pacific salmon, halibut, trout, shrimp. Here in Myrtle Beach, we're lucky because we have access to some great local seafood, especially wonderful local shrimp. Sources of plant protein include things like beans and lentils, and again, they're high in fiber, so those are good choices in any diet. Your protein requirements are going to vary based on your weight, age, your level of physical activity, and that's something that I can help you determine the right level of protein for your specific situation. Choose healthy fats. What are healthy fats and what are unhealthy fats? So you want to avoid inflammatory fats, any fats that are labeled hydrogenated. Hydrogenated oils are oils that started out in a liquid form, but hydrogen has been added to them through a mechanical process in order to make them solid and more shelf stable. And they're found in things like margarine, packaged goods, coffee creamers, fried foods, some fried foods. And these are the fats that turn into unhealthy trans fats, and everybody knows we're not supposed to be eating trans fats. One thing that's important to know is when you're reading your labels, food companies can include up to 0.5 gram of trans fats and still label it 0 trans fats. So when you're reading the nutrition label, in addition to finding out how much trans fat is in grams, you want to read the actual ingredients and make sure there are no hydrogenated oils listed in the ingredients, because they may still be in there even though it says 0 trans fats. Some better choices for high heat cooking, I like to use coconut and avocado oil. And for lower heat cooking or salads, olive oil, safflower oil, and grapeseed oil, as well as flaxseed oil. Those are all good choices. And you can find food sources of fat, healthy fat, in avocados, nuts, and seeds. And as I mentioned before on the carbohydrate slide, you want to avoid low-fat and fat-free products because they often have added sugar and artificial ingredients. One final note, I don't recommend using canola oil. Some people think this is a healthy choice, but the canola oil sold in our country is heavily processed, so it can be very inflammatory to your body, and most of it is genetically modified, so I avoid canola oil. Drink plenty of water. We've all known this for a long time, but you want to try to drink half your your body weight in ounces daily. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you have a goal of 75 ounces a day. This number is higher if you're going to be sweating a lot during the day, if it's very hot outside, or you're going to be working out at the gym. And fruit juice is not a good choice for hydration. It tends to have a high sugar content. You're much better off eating the whole fruit to benefit from the fiber content. Sports drinks are only helpful if you're exercising vigorously for more than an hour. The salt and sugar content in these drinks can be counterproductive to a lot of health conditions, so limit your intake of sports drinks only if you're an athlete or if you're going to be working out and sweating heavily. If you're bored with plain water, some alternatives are sparkling water, either plain or flavored. Watch out for artificial flavors in these drinks, though. I like the LaCroix brand of sparkling water. Herbal tea is also a good choice, and you can also add a squeeze of lemon, lime, or orange to either regular flat water or sparkling water to make a spa water. And cucumbers also make a nice spa water. Eat mindfully. This goes along with the not too much piece of advice that Michael Pollan gave us. You want to make sure that you eat slowly and chew your food thoroughly. Try putting your fork down between every bite. This is a lot harder than it sounds. And when you put that fork down, be aware of your body's signals. Stop and think about whether you really are still hungry or are you just continuing to eat out of habit. And try to avoid eating in front of the TV or in the car. These are the biggest dangers for mindless eating. Lots of studies have been done to show that when people are watching TV and eating, they eat a lot more than if they're sitting down at the table really paying attention to, again, their body signals. One that really works for me is to remove all temptations from the kitchen counter or out in the open and put the unhealthiest food on the top shelf. So if you allow yourself a certain kind of a treat or snack, put that on the top shelf of your cabinet so you don't see it every time you open up that cabinet. Same thing with leaving food on the counter. If you leave a plate of cookies out on the counter, you're much more likely to go and pick up one of those cookies and eat it, even if you're not hungry. So put those things away, out of sight, out of mind. And the same rule kind of applies to eating from a bag or carton. Don't eat your ice cream out of the carton. Don't eat chips from the bag. Because again, there have been many studies showing that people eat way more when they eat that way rather than portioning it out. So we're back to Michael Pollan. And just to review what we talked about, his advice, eat food. And what he means by that is eat whole food. Eat food in its original form. Not too much, so eat mindfully. And mostly plants. So focus on plant sources of protein, fats, and carbs. So now I'm going to take you back to my kitchen and give you a little demonstration of the turmeric vinaigrette that you can use on salads. It's great on roasted vegetables and also meats like chicken and fish.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. As promised, I'm going to show you how to make a vinaigrette from turmeric and a number of other healthful ingredients. But I'm going to start with the turmeric because that's kind of the main ingredient. And you can buy it in two forms. You can buy it dry in the spice aisle, and it's going to look like this. It's a really beautiful, bright, kind of yellow-orange color. Or you can also buy it fresh, and a lot of the grocery stores are now carrying fresh turmeric. I know you can get it at Kroger and also at Fresh Market, but it looks like this. It's called a rhizome, sort of like a root. It's very similar to ginger, and you would treat it the same way that you do ginger. So you'd want to peel it and then chop it or grate it into your recipes. And as you can see, when you peel it, again, it has that beautiful color. And when you're choosing your turmeric at the grocery store, make sure that it has this bright color. If it looks kind of dull or more brownish than this yellow-orange color, then you don't want to buy it. I actually buy my turmeric in bulk because I use so much of it and then put it in my own jars. So you can get it on Amazon and Vitacost and places like that. So we're going to start the vinaigrette, and what I'm going to do is use just a regular jar, clean jar, and dump all of our ingredients in there and just shake it up. And we're going to start with the spices. So of course we're going to put our turmeric in there. I'm using dried today, and I have about a teaspoon of dried turmeric. And you can do 1 or 2 teaspoons. It's really up to you. I would start with 1 and see how you like it. And if you really like it, you can add more. Then I'm also going to add some sea salt, about a half a teaspoon of sea salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. The black pepper is really important because it actually works together with the turmeric in order to be absorbed into your body. So whenever you're eating turmeric in your diet, or even if you're taking it as a supplement, because that's also available, you want to make sure that you have both black pepper as well as some form of fat, because both of those will help absorb the turmeric. Most supplements, if you buy it in that form, have the black pepper already in the supplement, but you still want to make sure you are eating some kind of fat when you take that supplement. So in addition to the salt and pepper, I also have about a teaspoon of dried dill, and you could also use fresh in this case as well. Then I chopped up 1 clove of garlic. Again, this is to taste. If you don't like garlic, you could leave it out, but garlic has a lot of really healthful properties too. It's an immune booster. Sometimes people will chew raw garlic when they feel a cold coming on. One little tip with garlic, if you're going to use fresh garlic, is chop it up and let it sit on the cutting board for a few minutes, because that gives the healthful properties in garlic, which is something called allicin, is only released once the garlic is chopped, and it takes a few minutes for that to happen. So just chop up your garlic first, and then you can do all your other prep, and I'm going to go ahead and dump that in. If you don't have any fresh garlic, you can certainly use garlic powder as well. So we've got our spices and our garlic in there, and then we're going to go ahead and add about a teaspoon of honey. And again, you can do this to taste. I would put in about a teaspoon and then taste it, and if it's sweet enough for you, then leave it alone. If you feel like it's still a little bit too tart or too bitter, you can add some more honey. That's to balance out the vinegar that we're about to add now, which is 3 tablespoons of any kind of vinegar that you like to use. I'm using a combination of red wine vinegar because I like the flavor, and apple cider vinegar as well because it has a lot of healthful properties. So we'll dump that in there. And then finally, we'll add our olive oil. In this case, a 1/4 cup of beautiful bright green extra virgin olive oil. Always want to make sure you get the extra virgin olive oil. It's a lot healthier, and it also just tastes better. So we're going to go ahead and put the lid on the jar and just give it a good shake. And that's it. I mean, look at this beautiful color. This will last in your refrigerator for probably about a week. I keep a jar in my refrigerator all the time, and this is kind of my base go-to salad dressing for everything. You can also change it up a little bit and add things to it. If you like a mustard vinaigrette, you can certainly add some of your favorite mustard to it. You could add sun-dried tomatoes, anything that you want to change it up a little bit. So that's it. That's your vinaigrette. And if you have any questions, or you want to talk to me more about some of the things that we talked about in the presentation today, or any personal issues that you might be having with nutrition, or questions that you have about nutrition, please feel free to give me a call. My phone number is 843-957-9482. You can reach me by email at k@fitnessedgegyms.com. And then I also have a Facebook page. You can search for K Dobus Nutrition, and you can contact me through the Facebook page and also get updates on nutrition. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I look forward to talking to you more. Bye-bye.